6 Easy Things to Do to Make Your Marriage Better. You married the love of your life and expected to live happily ever after. That was your dream, but if your marriage is like the other 99.99% of marriages, it hasn't turned out as you expected. Hopefully you have had some good times along the way. The good thing about life is that as long as you are still breathing, things can get better. Just because you get knocked down, it doesn't mean you have to stay down. If your marriage is not where you want it to be, you can make it better. Make sure you subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button below this video. Also, you can give me thumbs up and put on the notification bell. This way you can get more of my video. Here are 6 easy things you can do to make your marriage better. 1. Think before you speak. It sounds pretty simple, right? But it's hard to do sometimes. The problem is that because of built-up frustrations, couples tend to be more negative than positive with their words. Instead of listening to each other, you become accustomed to cutting each other up with sarcastic statements and criticisms. Compliments are replaced with put-downs, and each and every one damages your relationship. It's like poking a pin in your heart, and before you know it, all of the love has leaked out. Make sure you control your words before they further damage your marriage. 2. Resist the urge to retaliate. I know this one is difficult, especially if your spouse is petty and inconsiderate. However, you have to decide what you want. Do you want to improve your marriage or get even with your spouse? I'm not saying you need to be a doormat where your spouse walks all over you. However, there is no need to respond to every dumb and possibly immature thing your spouse does. You need to be the mature one for the sake of improving your marriage. Instead of being revengeful, be respectful. 3. Be purposeful in your actions. Improving your marriage will not happen without planning and purpose. Treat this next phase of your marriage as the most important period of your life. Your future depends on the next year or two, so don't just sit back and wait to see how things turn out. You can impact what happens next, but it takes planning. What things can you do for and with your spouse that will make your marriage better? Set some time aside and think about this question at least once a week. You will be amazed how planning to improve your marriage will actually result in a better marriage. 4. Remove bad influences from your marriage. There are people, things, and behaviors that negatively impact your marriage. It might be a good time to figure out what is hurting your marriage and begin to remove it from your relationship. It could be a person that constantly causes friction between you, or habits such as spending, hanging out with friends, or spending too much time binge TV watching. It's pretty easy to recognize those things that raise the level of tension in your house and marriage. Start to reduce those and your marriage will improve almost immediately, by default. 5. Resist comparing your marriage to others. It's easy to look at other couples and wish your relationship was like theirs. The problem is you really have no idea how their marriage is. You might regret it if you really did have their marriage. There could be infidelity, mental or emotional abuse, neglect, or they could be heading for divorce. Instead of wishing to have someone else's marriage, you need to spend your time and energy making your marriage better. No marriage is perfect, and your marriage will never be. However, that doesn't mean you should settle for mediocre marriage. You should strive to have the best marriage you and the love of your life can have. 6. Make your spouse feel appreciated. One of the easiest ways to improve your marriage is to appreciate your spouse. People like to know that what they do matters. Be sure to let your spouse know how much you appreciate what he or she does for your marriage. It will go a long way in creating the loving and meaningful relationship you expected to have when you tied the knot. Please know that the marriage you have now that is frustrating and disappointing doesn't have to stay that way. Don't buy into the belief that it's just the way marriage is, or a leopard can't change his spots. You have the power to get the marriage you so need and desire. If you need more guidance on keeping your marriage together,